Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Nathan sank into the couch, his eyes fixed on the TV but not really seeing anything on the screen. The glow from the images danced around the dark room, casting wavering shadows on the walls, yet his mind was somewhere else. Or rather, in another time. In every memory, in every tiny detail of the last few months, which now felt like pieces of a grim puzzle. The silence in the house, once a refuge of peace, now felt suffocating, heavy, laden with hidden meanings. Every corner seemed to conceal a whisper, a secret, a lie. Nathan had never been a suspicious man. He'd always trusted Lena's honesty, their closeness, every "I love you" whispered in the dark of night. But something had changed. Something was wrong. He wasn't sure exactly when he started noticing. Maybe it was that night Lena went out for a girls' night and came back with a different kind of smile. Or maybe it was those mornings she woke up before him, rushed, like she was running from something. Or maybe it was the way she started avoiding his eyes, as if afraid he'd see something hidden deep within her soul. They were details, small and subtle, but together they formed a truth Nathan refused to face. At first, he tried convincing himself it was all in his head. She was tired from work, and he himself had been distant because of life's worries. But the signs kept stacking up, day after day. The smell of a different perfume lingering on her pillow. Text messages on her phone she'd hastily delete the moment he walked into the room. Phone calls that ended the second he said hello from down the hallway. But what bothered him most was the emptiness between them. Their conversations had become mechanical. Their kisses, flavorless. Her touch, which once warmed him, now felt cold, automatic, like she wasn't really there anymore, even standing right beside him. Nathan clenched his fists. Maybe he was overthinking it. Maybe it was just a phase, the natural strain of any relationship. But then came the rumors. Random remarks among friends, pitying looks he couldn't decipher, pauses that lasted too long whenever Lena's name came up. He tried to brush it off, but the seed of doubt had already been planted. And with each passing day, it grew, fed by every suspicious little detail. And then, that night, as Lena came downstairs wearing a dress that hugged her curves with a dangerous elegance, something inside Nathan finally broke. She was beautiful, as always. But there was something different about her. Something in the way she brushed her hair with a rehearsed confidence, as though expecting to be admired, but not by him. Something in the way she avoided his gaze, like she was carrying an invisible weight on her shoulders. That's when Nathan felt it. A shiver ran down his spine, chilling him to the core. He realized it wasn't just a paranoid thought. He was about to discover a truth that would change everything. She then left the house, saying goodbye with only a peck on the cheek. The sound of the lock turning echoed through the silent house. 3 a.m. Nathan was sitting in the living room with the lights off, only the faint glow from the street lamp lighting his face. He didn't move when Lena walked in. He just waited. She closed the door gently, slipping off her shoes the way she always did so she wouldn't make noise. But it didn't matter how quietly she tried to move, Nathan was right there. Awake. Watching. Did you have fun? His voice cut through the silence like a cold blade. Lena froze for a moment, but then went right back into her usual role. She took a deep breath and lifted her chin, forcing a smile. What is it now, Nathan? He shook his head, crossing his arms. That was the last time you go out like that. Lena rolled her eyes. Am I living in a prison now? Nathan got up slowly, without rushing, without raising his voice. No. You're living in a marriage. The weight of those words filled the room. He took a few steps closer, studying every detail of her expression. There was no guilt. No remorse. He took a deep breath. It's not a problem to go out with your friends once in a while. I never complained. But these outings, these late nights, do you think it doesn't affect our marriage? Lena crossed her arms, as if she was tired of having this conversation. Nathan, I made a decision, he interrupted. If you go out like that again, it's all over. Lena blinked a few times, surprised by how firm he sounded. You're being dramatic, she said, rolling her eyes, her voice dripping with scorn. I love you. I'm just living. Nathan let out a brief, humorless laugh. Yeah. Living. A marriage is also living. But living together. Not just sharing the same roof. This time, Lena stayed quiet. And in that moment, Nathan realized she had nothing left to say. Silence ruled the house for a week. Nathan and Lena still lived in the same space, but they felt like strangers. He left early for work, she stayed longer in the bedroom or got lost in her phone. Occasionally they spoke, but only when necessary. No laughter, no affection, none of those small gestures that used to come so naturally. Then, on Sunday afternoon, tired of the tension, they decided to try to reconcile. A dinner together, a few honest words, a mutual effort to save what seemed to be slipping away. And for a moment, the house felt like a home again. But it didn't last. On Thursday night, Nathan was on the couch when Lena came downstairs, more dressed up than usual. A tight dress, a strong perfume, a sparkle in her eyes he hadn't seen in ages. But that sparkle wasn't meant for him. He watched her for a few seconds before asking, "Are you going out?" Lena smoothed her hair and smiled. "Yeah. We're okay, right?" I figured there wouldn't be any more problems. Nathan held his breath for a moment. He could have said everything right then. He could have asked where she was going, could have begged, yelled, argued. But instead, he just gave a slight smile and said, "Yeah. We're fine." Lena smiled, satisfied, grabbed her purse, and left, unaware that by closing that door, she was leaving behind something she'd never get back. Nathan stayed there, motionless, staring at the closed door. He already knew. There were no more doubts. He picked up the phone and dialed a number he knew by heart. A familiar voice answered on the other end. "Nathan?" What a surprise. He took a deep breath. "Hi, Vivian. I just wanted to say thank you." "Thank me? For what, sweetheart?" Nathan looked around the house. Every corner was full of memories. Good times, shared laughter, plans for the future. But also scars. Open wounds that never healed. "For everything," he replied calmly. "For all these years, for the care you've always shown me. I just wanted to call out of respect, to let you know what I'm about to do." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "What happened, Nathan? I just wanted you to know before she does." He hung up. Without hesitating, he grabbed Lena's suitcases and started packing them. Clothes, shoes, perfumes. Everything that belonged to her, everything that no longer made sense to keep there. When he finished, he called an Uber and gave the driver the address for Vivian's house. As soon as the driver left, he grabbed his phone again. This time, he called a locksmith. The locks were changed in less than 20 minutes. When the locksmith left, Nathan locked the door and looked around. For the first time in months, he felt a wave of relief in his chest. Vivian's phone started ringing off the hook. She was trying to reach Lena. No answer. She called again. And again. Until finally, after what felt like endless attempts, Lena picked up. "Mom? What's up?" "I'm busy." Vivian's voice was firm, serious, and direct. "You'd better get back here now." "Come back? What happened?" There was a brief silence, then her mother said the only thing that might still change the course of that night: "You're going to lose the man of your life." But what Vivian didn't know was that Lena had already lost him. Lena got to the house and tried to open the door. Nothing. She tried turning the knob harder, tried a few more times, but the truth was undeniable, the lock had been changed. Her heart pounded. She knocked on the door, calling Nathan's name. No response. She tried again, but all she was met with was the cutting silence of the early morning. That's when she noticed an envelope stuck to the door. Her hands trembled as she pulled it off and read the handwritten words, the handwriting she knew so well. Lena, when you walked out that door, you took with you the last bit of respect I had for you. The life you want isn't the path I want to take. I wish you luck, and please don't come back. I've already sent your things to your mother's house. The paper slipped from her hands. The house they'd shared was never really Lena's, it belonged to Nathan's father, a family property passed down through generations. That meant that legally, she had no claim to anything there. When she tried to open the door and realized the locks had been changed, the truth came crashing down. She hadn't just lost Nathan, she'd also lost the home she once called her own. A lump formed in her throat. She tried to swallow her despair, tried to take a deep breath, but a suffocating feeling settled in her chest. This time, it wasn't just a misunderstanding. It wasn't just a rough patch in the marriage. He was really leaving. Lena pressed her back against the door, feeling the cold of the wood against her. Her eyes started to burn, but she didn't have time to give in to it. She grabbed her phone and called Nathan. It rang until it went to voicemail. She tried again. Nothing. She stepped away from the house, lost, not knowing what to do, then got in her car and drove to her mother's. When she arrived, she found Vivian waiting in the living room, arms crossed, a severe look on her face. "Mom," Lena began, trying not to cry. Vivian just sighed, shaking her head. "My daughter, your childishness is going to cost you dearly. I hope you learn from this." Lena closed her eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll talk to him. We'll fix this." But her mother just gave her a sad smile, as if she knew something Lena still didn't. "He called me, Lena. He thanked me for all these years." Lena frowned. "So what? You don't get it? I know Nathan well. There's no turning back." Lena felt a chill, but she still didn't want to believe it. In the days that followed, she tried everything. She called him relentlessly. Sent messages. Showed up at his workplace. Nothing. Nathan wouldn't respond. She spent her nights awake, hoping that at any moment he'd change his mind. But all she got was silence. Until one day, the phone rang. It was him. Her heart pounded. She answered on the first ring. "Baby, please, let's talk," but on the other end, the answer came clearly, without hesitation. "I sent you a text with an address. Please show up to sign the divorce papers. See you." The line went dead before she could say anything. Her phone slipped out of her hand and hit the floor. The tears came before she could stop them. Vivian walked into the living room and, without a word, wrapped her arms around her daughter. Lena curled up in her mother's embrace, sobbing like a child. "I ruined everything, Mom." "Yes, honey. You did." Vivian didn't try to soothe her with empty reassurances. She didn't say everything would be okay. She just stayed there, holding her, letting her feel the weight of the consequences of her choices. And Lena felt it. Months passed. Lena changed. She stopped going out at night. She stopped looking for quick thrills in places that ultimately left her feeling even emptier. She went back to school, dove into her work, and for the first time in a long while, she looked in the mirror and asked herself, "Who am I?" But there was no quick answer, just one certainty: she would never again be the woman who destroyed her own marriage with her own hands. And Nathan? He moved on. He went back to doing the things he loved, the things he'd set aside while married. Bit by bit, he rediscovered his own happiness. And one random night, in a discreet cigar lounge in the city, as he sipped his whiskey, he realized something: he didn't feel any pain when he thought about Lena. The anger had faded. The hurt had dissolved. All that was left was the certainty that he'd made the right decision. And for the first time in a long while, he smiled. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.